Welcome to my channel. My name is Adina. I'm an intuitive astrologer. On my channel, we talk about astrology and we talk about spirituality. And in these weekly forecast videos, I go into the energy and the astrology for the week ahead, hopefully to provide some guidance for all of you to move through this energy with ease and awareness and to work with it consciously. And so in this video, we will be going over the energy for May 22nd to the 28th of 2023. And so if you align with my energy and enjoy my content, subscribe and like this video. I like to start the weekly videos off by going into the energy that we are currently moving through and that has what has shown up for us, and then we will get into the week ahead. So coming into the week, we are now in that tight T-square between Mars, Jupiter, and Pluto. Mars entered Leo on the 20th of May, which then made that T-square exact. You may have noticed that around the 16th, when Jupiter entered Taurus and formed the square to Pluto, there were a lot of fears coming up at this time, especially around self-worth, self-value, self-love. There's energy here that was being triggered around past experiences, whether it's relationships or family or childhood. This can be brought up to show you how far you've come on your journey, what you have overcome, and also to show you what still needs to be worked with and moved through energetically and emotionally. Emotions that may even still be within that need to be released. With this T-square, there is a lot of triggers around fears that can be conscious or subconscious, but there really is a need to surrender at this time, to know that you are divinely guided and supported, that you are loved, and developing that self-love and self-worth for yourself is necessary and needed to continue in this journey. And it's really interesting because if you listen and watch my videos, I've talked a little bit about the nodes shifting into Aries and Libra in July, which I will be posting a video about that. But I have gone into the energy in my previous videos about how when the North Node enters Aries, this is really going to start a brand new journey on self-development, self-discovery, stepping into our personal power. And it's interesting how energies are showing up at this time that are almost forcing us to surrender, to release and let go of the old in order to make room for brand new experiences, brand new energy. And so where it can be difficult at this time, it can be a little bit challenging. It's like it's much needed to move forward. And the story is really beautiful when you understand it and when you have the awareness and can move through it consciously, is when you are really able to take advantage and move through it constructively, where it can support you in your journey. And so if there is anything that is coming up at this time around fears that are around self-love, self-worth, self-value, working on that and surrendering, knowing that you are loved, even saying your affirmations every night and throughout the day. I am loved. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of success. I was going to say I am valuable, but you are valuable. You have, developing that self-value, knowing that what you have to offer others, not needing that validation, not worrying about what other people think, being completely comfortable and secure in who you are. That is what this energy is going to provide for us. And so understanding the fears that are showing up and surrendering to the energy, surrendering and releasing and letting go of any fears you have around how you look, how you're perceived. This is going to help so much in the journey and the energies that we will be coming into in the future. So having that understanding, I think, is very important in moving through this energy. Something else I really want to talk about with this T-square and this opposition between Mars and Pluto is that, yes, it is bringing up a lot of fears, but this is also a time where we really want to be aware of our energy and emotions and other people's energy and emotions. This can be a time of violence, anger, aggression, abuse, obsessions. These are all very Mars and Pluto themes. And so being conscious of this with yourself and with others can help in moving through this energy. And the fact that Jupiter is squaring both of these planets is really amplifying that. So definitely having that awareness can help. Now, I want to say happy birthday to all of my Gemini friends out there. Starting the week off, we have the sun in Gemini now, which once the sun entered Gemini on the 21st, the sun was at that 0-degree point of Gemini, forming a trine to Pluto and a sextile to Mars. And so this could have been a time where maybe you were noticing intuitive downloads or insight, helping to guide you through the energy that you are moving through at this time with this tight T-square. This is really bringing a light into that intense energy. So that's really beautiful. And the sun is now lighting up the Gemini area of your birth chart. So whatever house you have Gemini in, you now have the sun in there, bringing light, bringing insight into these themes and topics for you. So some Gemini themes are communication, your mind, your mindset, speaking, writing. So this is a time where you can definitely be getting more intuitive downloads. Journaling at this time can be great in helping move through any energy that you are moving through at the time. Speaking, if you're wanting to put out a podcast or anything along those lines that really have to do with publishing, speaking, writing, this is a perfect time to really dive into while the sun is in Gemini. So now let's get into the week ahead. On Monday and Tuesday, the 22nd and the 23rd, we are going to have the moon in Cancer. And so Cancer is a water sign. Cancer is very receptive, very intuitive, very emotional. We can be feeling extra sensitive at this time. We will still very much be in that T-square energy. So having that awareness and being able to move through the energy consciously is going to help. Also note that any fears or whatever is being activated for you with this T-square, which we will be moving through all week. Remember, this is all about transformation. Pluto is very transformative. So once we get to the other side of whatever it is that we are moving through, when we release and let go and surrender, we are moving through a complete personal transformational process. So just keep that in mind. This week is going to be very tricky. It's a very intense energy. Monday and Tuesday we have the moon in Cancer. Wednesday we have the moon enter Leo, which is then going to form a conjunction to Mars. And so the first half, all week is really tricky, but especially up until Thursday, Friday, our emotions are very heightened. And with the Mars forming that opposition to Pluto, this week is really a time of being conscious of our emotions, of our energy. There can be emotional outbursts. There can be a lot of anger. There can be a lot of impulsiveness. So not having that sudden reaction or responsive nature, responding and reacting right away is something we want to be conscious of. We really want to sit with the energy, move through it, really feel what is coming out for us so that we can move through it consciously and we're not exploding or being impulsive and doing things that are really truly out of our nature and that we really don't want to do, but because of the energy and the impulsiveness, we're reacting very quickly. So it is energy that we want to be mindful of. And hopefully you listening to this video will give you that awareness so that if anything is coming up this week for you, you're able to know and understand that it is energy we are all moving through. All of us, we are all feeling it in our own way. You are not alone, and that is so important for you to know. And if you need extra guidance, please feel free to comment below and I will help guide you through the energy as best I can. So having the awareness this week of our emotions, our reactions, how we are responding is going to be very important, especially the first portion of the week when the moon is really activating a lot of it, and the moon has to do with our emotions and our feelings. So definitely something we want to be aware of. At the same time that we have the moon forming that conjunction to Mars, we have Venus squaring Chiron. And so this is more triggering energy around deep wounds, deep traumas, healing. Chiron is the wounded healer, and with Venus squaring Chiron at the same time, this can really be bringing up old wounds and old fears for you around relationships. This is a time you really want to be conscious and aware of your energy and how you are feeling. Move through it. There's just so much going on this week that taking care of your energy is a must. Drinking a lot of water, grounding yourself, meditating, journaling, sitting with the energy. There is a lot this week we will be moving through around, and I keep saying it, I sound like a robot, but there is a lot of energy around fears, around relationships, around old traumas. And so having that awareness is so important. When Venus squares Chiron on Wednesday is a very difficult energy. There is a lot going on Wednesday. So you definitely want to keep that date in mind, Wednesday the 24th. You really want to have that awareness. That is when we have the moon form that conjunction to Mars exact. We're still in that T-square energy, and then plus we have Venus squaring Chiron. So Wednesday we really do want to have that awareness and journal whatever is coming up for you. Journal. Don't react, don't respond right away. Sit with the energy, move through it, meditate and feel what is coming up for you intuitively. You can ask your guides and your angels in the universe, for intuitive messages, for guidance, for support. You are divinely guided and supported. And I will continue to say that because this week it is so important to know that you are divinely guided and supported. And Chiron being in Aries with that square from Venus can really be triggering and bringing up energy around where you have been vulnerable in the past, when you have been hurt. Chiron being in Aries represents the self. And so this can really have to do with wounds that you have from past experiences. And it can have to do with love, relationships, because it's Venus that is squaring Chiron. So again, this can be a time where there is a lot of energy and even anger maybe coming up around old vulnerabilities, old wounds around relationships or self-love, self-worth, and self-value. On Thursday, the 25th, we will have Venus form a sextile to Uranus, and the moon will be squaring Uranus at this time. So this is really interesting energy because Venus forming a sextile to Uranus, this can really bring in some really sudden, unexpected opportunities for you that can really help guide you and support you in this journey with your self-love, your self-worth, your self-value. This can even bring in some unexpected relationships or personal connections. With the moon squaring Uranus, this can trigger anxiety. This can also just trigger because the moon is still going to be in Leo. This is also a time we really have to watch for those emotional outbursts and all of that energy. And then we have Mars squaring the nodes. This is really bringing up some unexpected, fated karmic severing when it has to do with relationships. This is going to be very unexpected. This is going to even be emotionally draining. And so having this awareness at this time on Thursday, like I said, this week can be a difficult week, but with the awareness, we can move through this consciously and work with it so that at the end of it, it's more transformative. And so on Thursday, there's energy around relationships, personal connections, or energy around our self-love, self-value being triggered and having to sever something. And this is a very fated karmic energy because Mars squaring the nodes is really something needed in order to take those next steps on your journey. It's fated. The nodes are very fated, very karmic, and Mars forming that square is bringing a stop, challenge, or conflict, or a need to surrender and sever something in order to move forward. This may not even be an ending of a relationship, but an ending of a cycle. Ending to a cycle in a relationship, if that makes sense, where maybe something you've approached constantly that has been repetitive, that has been a cycle for you when it has to do with your relationships and personal connections. There's an awareness coming up at this time showing you where this repetitiveness and this karmic cycle, what it has been. So this can really be and trigger when you have the awareness of being able to completely sever that karmic cycle so that it no longer is with you moving forward. So where this can be difficult at first, it can truly be amazing to know and understand and release these karmic cycles when it has to do with our relationships. So this is energy we will be moving through on Thursday. Now, emotionally, it can be very up and down because the moon is going to be square Uranus. So having the awareness, we are able to move through this consciously. I know I say it all the time, but it is so important at this time to be aware of what is coming up. And we will be moving through this energy Thursday and Friday. On Saturday, we have the moon entering Virgo. And so the moon in Virgo is always really nice for paying attention to details, getting things done, organizing, cleaning. The moon at around the middle of the day on Saturday. Well, I guess depending on your time zone. But once the moon reaches 6 degrees of Virgo, there will be this brief T-square between the sun, the moon, and Saturn. And so the moon is eventually opposing Saturn in Pisces, which is going to create a need for balance, maybe feeling what you want to do and what you have to do. There's just a balance required. Now, utilizing this energy can be great for paying attention to detail and really getting things done. And Saturn has to do with our commitments and hard work and dedication. With the sun squaring Saturn, this can bring up maybe possible challenges or energy around a stop or something happening when it has to do with your responsibilities and your commitments. So definitely something you want to be mindful of with that sun square to Saturn. But with the moon in Virgo, the moon will also be forming a trine to Jupiter, the North Node, Mercury, and then even on Sunday, a trine to Uranus. So this can be great for really diving into our intuition, getting intuitive downloads, especially with Mercury moving closer to Uranus, and Uranus is the great awakener. So with the moon, I mean, we do have to watch how the moon is aspecting Uranus because it can cause anxiety and kind of emotional instability. But if we utilize it correctly and are aware of it, it can really bring in some spontaneous intuitive downloads. So this week, we really just want to have that self-awareness really being aware of our emotions, what is coming up for us, how we are feeling, the energy that we are moving through. This week is going to feel very intense with all of the astrological energies going on. Remember that whatever is showing up, whatever fears, whatever is showing up at this time, there's, especially with Mars forming that square to the nodes, there's an understanding of karmic cycles happening, whether it's with your self love, your self worth, self undoing, karmic cycles in relationships. So, whatever fear is showing up at this time, whatever energy, whatever emotions, if we have that awareness to not respond and react right away and to sit with it, to journal, to meditate, there is this ability for transformation in these karmic cycles and karmic patterns and these even cycles of self undoing. So having the awareness and being conscious this week is going to help in moving through the energy. Remember that whatever is showing up is happening so that you can be aware of it and develop and release. Well, surrender, release, and develop new karmic patterns. Release the old to bring in the new. So that's really important to remember and to know through this week where we do have some challenging energy. We also have beautiful opportunity to develop brand new higher vibrational cycles, and this is really to push us into this new version of ourselves, this new you, and to release all of that old karmic energy in order to do so. So this week is going to be challenging, but with the awareness, it's really going to be great if you're able to move through it with that consciousness and work through the energy, and like I said, release it. And I know I feel like I keep repeating myself, but it's just the strong intuitive downloads I'm receiving with all of this is just the ending of karmic cycles and really beginning these new karmic energies. So it's challenging, but it's also empowering at the same time. So like I said, having that awareness is definitely going to help this week. And also feel free to comment below if you need any guidance through the energies this week. I would be happy to help and guide you the best I can. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will connect with you in the next one.